Okay.
Excellent. Right, guys. So we are recording, and I hope that is okay. So today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic. So all of you have hopefully been following COP26, and you've got your own thoughts about sustainability generally, the future of our world, and all of that stuff. For me and my colleagues here, what we're going to be talking about today is slightly a different take. We're going to be looking at the role of finance and accounting, our financial infrastructure, our accounting practices, and how they fit into that conversation. Now, what I took away from COP was, yeah, all of these things are fantastic, but just go back to what we used to say when I was a younger kid. You say money makes the world go round. And at the end of the day, we can't do many of these things if our financial infrastructures are not sustainable or resilient enough to deal with them. And so we thought we were going to have a conversation with you, with ourselves as well, and get you involved, and tell us what your thoughts are. And we know that some of you are already accounting and financial professionals, or you're students in that field. So what does this mean for students or early career professionals who are in this field? And what does the future role of the sustainable financial professional actually look like? So we're going to cover all of that with my colleagues today. And I'm just going to let them very quickly introduce themselves, and then we're going to have a conversation. The rules are pretty much, if you want to contribute, just type in the chat box. If you have a question, just put that in there, and we're going to reserve about 15 minutes at the end to cover the question. But if you want to contribute to any conversation, if you feel the urge to really say something that you can't keep to yourself, we can even give you the microphone. So just raise your hand up and we'll do it. Okay, so Sarada, you want to tell these lovely people just a bit about you, who you are, and then we'll pass on to Michael and Panos as well.
Thank you, Tosin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Sharda Krishnan. I'm a lecturer in accounting, and I am the course director for MSc Sustainable Finance and Accounting, which was launched this year here at the University of Sussex Business School. So we all know that currently sustainability is a core theme that is that's being integrated across industries. Over the last several years, we've witnessed a rapid growth in sustainable initiatives undertaken by governments and industries. And I've been following these trends, but professionally, I took a greater interest in sustainability when I started to teach integrated reporting to final year undergrad students here at the business school. And so integrated reporting is a relatively new concept, and it redefines financial reporting to focus on human, social capital, intellectual capital, etc. So it incorporates core sustainability themes into financial reporting. So while teaching that, I developed more interest into this area and explored deeper into the topic is sustainability in finance and accounting. So yeah, that's how I got into this topic, and that's also it played an important role in developing the course here at developing MSc Sustainable Finance and Accounting here at the school. So yeah, over to Panos.
Thank you. I was just going to say, if you're just joining us, please just put your location, where you're at, your city, and just let us know if you're a student or a professional. Thank you.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Panagiotis Druvana, so you can call me Panos. I'm lecturing in finance at the University of Sussex, and my main topic of interest is climate finance. So it's climate change and finance. Now the question is how I got into this field. So more than 10 years ago, I studied economics. Then I had my master's in finance, and then I started thinking, how can I make the difference? Because there are so many people with economics or finance degrees. So I started thinking about it, and I found this PhD related to climate change and finance. I know that the discussion today is more about sustainability, but climate change is one of the main components of the sustainability. So mainly I'm going to talk about the climate change side. And from my PhD, I found very, very interesting that there are many things going on, and climate change has monopolized discussions recently, not only to the university, but also from policymakers, from the industry. And I found it very valuable for everybody, and everybody should be aware of these issues because it's the future, it's the present, and it's the future. So we'll talk more about later. So I hand over to Michael. Thank you very much.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Panos. And thank you for the invitation. It's nice to be back, in my case, involved in something with Sussex. So it feels a bit funny for me to be sitting on the industry side of this discussion, because I was at Sussex. These were my colleagues for about 7-8 years. I was a senior lecturer. And then last year, I decided to make a change. So I left the university. I'm still affiliated. I still work with PhD students, but generally now I'm full-time in industry. So I joined a startup. It's quite an exciting new adventure, and it's great because I'm applying some of my research area, which was modeling of commodity prices, energy prices, and also emissions, carbon emissions, which obviously links to our conversation today. So I'm applying that now in this startup company, which is in shipping, and we're looking at modeling shipping prices and routes, emissions projections for helping companies to manage risk and to manage their fleets of ships in a more effective and also more sustainable way. And the startup is very early stage, but it's going well. So that's what I'm doing now. And I can talk a bit more about some of the other industry roles that link to sustainable finance.
Excellent. So there you have it, guys. You've met our speakers, and like I said, they're absolutely fantastic to share and to make their time to just share some of their thoughts on the topics we'll be going over today. Just to say that what we're covering, we're going to be talking about sustainable finance and accounting beyond COP26. So what's the career landscape going to look like? Get their thoughts. I mean, in as much as nobody can see the future, we can see trends and we can see patterns. And these are people who are kind of know quite a lot on what is going on, and it would be great to get their perspective on that. Then we're also going to be talking about how you, as financial, sustainable financial or accountants or professionals, what does that look like for you? What is your role in that conversation in the jobs that you might be doing either today or in the next couple of years as this conversation picks up more momentum? So that's the context and what we'll be doing. So let's start with a couple of questions. So this is going to be more of a conversation, like I said. If you want to contribute, just type in the chat box. We want to hear your thoughts on this. Savada, you are the course leaders for this program. So we have a course at the University of Sussex. It's the MSc Sustainable Finance and Accounting, so which is fantastic. And Savada is going to tell us a little bit about that course. But also, I'm actually really interested because I am clueless. So for other people who may not know, what is sustainable finance and accounting, Savada?
So sustainable finance refers to investment decisions that takes into consideration environmental, social, and governance factors. So as we know, in the capital market, there are a wide range of institutions. There are institutional investors who make investments. And the meaning of sustainable finance is that currently, over the last 10, 20 years, gradually there has been a significant rise in environmental, social, and governance factors being included in these decisions. So taking into consideration environmental factors such as mitigation of climate crisis, social factors like human rights, animal rights, consumer protection rights, and governance factors like management policies, employee relations. So taking into consideration these factors while making an investment decision actually means sustainable finance in simple terms. So basically taking into consideration ESG factors while making investment decisions is called sustainable finance. So some sustainable finance activities include sustainable funds, green bonds, impact investing, about which my colleague Panos and both of them can talk about it a bit later. So this is what sustainable finance is about. Sustainability accounting is also, so both finance and accounting, of course, they're related. Sustainability accounting is analyzing, measuring, and reporting a company's social and environmental impact. So the social and environmental impact that a company has. So the role that accounting plays in this is the information that investors use to make this decision, that information is processed by accountants, prepared and processed by these accountants. So this is the link between sustainable finance and accounting. So like I said, sustainable finance is making investment decisions, and accounting is providing the information, preparing and processing the information that is required to make those decisions. So, so yeah, this is broadly what sustainable finance and accounting is about. And I think Panos and Michael can talk a bit more about sustainable funds and green bonds and all the sustainable finance activities.
Yes, absolutely. Sustainable finance is very general term. First of all, it's referring to mainly the corporate social responsibility of the firms. Firms have the responsibility for the society, for the environment, and they have to do actions. They have to do actions to prove that they do something right. Mainly, I'm going to focus to the part of the environment. As Sarada said, is the environmental, social, and governance factors. I'm focusing mainly on the climate, the environmental factor, the environment. So here is something that we call climate finance, green finance, environmental finance. All these are synonyms, and they are referring to the same thing: is what finance can do to save the environment, if you like, how to mitigate climate change. And for this reason, this profession is rapidly growing. We have too many new financial instruments related to climate change. So for example, like green bonds. So what is a green bond? It's like a bond that its purpose is to gather money in order to fund green projects that are not going to pollute the environment. In a similar vein, there are other like financial instruments such as there's a carbon market. What is carbon market? Firms cannot pollute as much as they like. They have to buy their emissions, and they cannot exceed one specific level of emissions. So all of these are parts of the climate finance, and of course, in a broader way, it's parts of sustainable finance. It's a field rapidly growing, and there is need for many people to come, give their thoughts, give their ideas. Right now, believe it or not, the only way to solve climate change is by finance. There are many things that they are talking, especially in COP26. So there, as individuals, we can do many things. We can recycle, we can take the public transport, we can do many things. But what is our main what is the main thing that we can do here is finance. The finance probably is the solution to the problem that we face right now. So this is what I have to say for the beginning. Please, Michael, if you want to add anything.
Well, I don't think I need to add too much. I think those are nice summaries from both of you. I think, as you said, so ESG is used a lot, environmental social governance. So if you haven't heard that before, it comes up a lot, that acronym. And companies from across many different industries now have to think about their ESG impact, and they have a corporate social responsibility team, which is, in some cases, is focused very much on environmental side, climate side, but it also covers social aspects and governance aspects as well. In terms of research, often the environmental side maybe dominates a bit the climate finance side, but there's also the whole non-climate environmental aspect of things which don't affect climate change, but they still affect the environment. So there's a huge range of different topics within ESG to look at, and of course the industry. Many industries are having to come up to speed quickly on these topics now.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. It's really, really helpful. And it was just, I picked up on you saying green finance panels, and that's the first time I've actually heard it, I have to admit. And I like the concept of how you very easily explain. Now, interesting, we have Marilyn here as well, who is joining the session today, because she really wants to learn a lot about and hear more about green finance. So that's really important that we try and cover some of this conversation in a bit more depth. So Marilyn, stay tuned. I see we've got people with their hands up. You guys, you need to be patient. Don't worry, we will give you this chance to contribute in a bit. So what you could do for us at the moment, if you want to add anything specifically to the conversation, just type it in don't worry. Then when we get to the end, when we have the conversations, the question and answers, we should be able to give some of you the opportunity to physically ask your comments. If you give you the microphone, just make sure you keep it brief and succinct, okay? See a lot of people from Nigeria on the chat, which is great. And I can see that some of you are students as well. So that makes me to think to myself, like, so if I'm a student, why this course? Because I know, Sarada, you've talked about the course that we have in MSc Sustainable Finance and Accounting. So why should I do this course? You know, what's in it for me? What's different about this course, especially, you know, beyond the broader discussions on COP26? Can you give them a bit of a feel for that?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think in answer to your question, why this course, there are two broad themes that come up. One is, of course, the entire discourse around climate change that has been going on. And you've seen that over the last 3 decades, COP26 and similar conferences held before this year have all focused on climate change, of course. And another key theme has been funding these policies and projects to mitigate climate crisis. So financing has been a major theme of all these conferences, and this is where sustainable finance, this is what we're talking about, sustainable finance. And this has been reflected in organizations. What we see is this ongoing discourse. Of course, initially it was, what research has found is that the actions taken by companies was kind of superficial to some extent, but that has changed now. And over the last 10 years, we have seen a rapid progress and in the interest that has been taken by companies and the genuineness of companies incorporating these strategies in their organizations. So this means, what does this translate into for students of accounting and finance? This means that their job roles are expanding, are evolving as company organizational strategies are changing. So for accounting and finance students, previously it was enough to have knowledge, pure knowledge about accounting and finance, but that is now changing, because as an accountant and as a finance professional, they're required to be aware of these issues. They're required to be aware of the financial instruments, the changes in the nature of financial instruments. Due to sustainable finance initiatives, they are required to be aware of standards and regulations. For example, accountants, they need to be aware of the reporting standards, new reporting frameworks that have come up, and to be able to incorporate that, integrate that with their financial reporting knowledge. And that is a key element. So what we are seeing in organizations, what research has shown is that almost all organizations have not just set up departments, but these departments are expanding, which means that they need people who have knowledge in the area of sustainable finance and accounting, not just pure accounting and finance, but also knowledge, interdisciplinary knowledge in the area of sustainable finance and accounting. So I'll talk a bit more about that, when I talk about the course content and structure and what we mean by interdisciplinary knowledge in sustainable finance and accounting.
No, I think carry on that, because that leads very nicely to what I was going to ask, and I'm guessing that's on the mind of, because that's what you've presented is really clear. I get what you're saying now is, there's a change in shift from the organizations, and that's driven by obviously wider conversation about sustainability, which corporations now also have to respond to that. And as a result, the financial professionals also have to adapt to that and learn the skills. So I guess with the course that we have, which is the MSc Sustainable Finance and Accounting, so the students are probably thinking, I get what you mean, but what does that look like on the course, right? So what's the course structure and what's the course content? Can you briefly talk about that?
Absolutely. So the course structure, we have 2 terms. Autumn term, it has 4 core modules on it. So totally there are 7 core modules and 2 optional modules in the entire year, and a research project. So 7 core modules, 2 optional modules, and 1 research project. Now, the entire year is split into 3 terms, actually, 3 terms: autumn term, spring term, and summer term. In autumn term, there are 4 core or compulsory modules. Then in spring term, there are 3 core modules and 2 optional modules. So students get to choose 2 modules out of an option of 4, 2 optional modules out of 4. And then we have the research project in the summer term. So when we if you look at the course content, it focuses, it's been designed to equip students with the kind of interdisciplinary knowledge that is required. That's been, it reflects the changing job requirements in the job market. So we have, for example, in the autumn term, we have sustainable development, a module which is offered by our SPRU, our School of Policy Research, which is highly ranked across the globe. So we have a sustainable development. Why do we have this module in this? Because there are a wide range of jobs, not just in the private sector, but also in the public sector. So sustainable development focuses on policy making. For example, this would relate to the kind of job requirements that you find in World Bank, UN organizations, development organizations, basically public sector organizations. Policy making also linked to policy making in the corporate world as well. So we have a module, sustainable development, then we have sustainability, accounting and reporting, which I just now said, analyzing, measuring and reporting information on the social and environmental impacts of organizations. Then we have accounting, organizations and society. So we have modules which equip students, which build on the technical knowledge to go beyond that technical knowledge and give them research perspectives to and a wider knowledge in the area of sustainable finance and accounting across, which can be applied across different industries. Then in the second term, we have also modules like research methods, which will help them prepare for the research project in the summer term. So in the summer term, they get to explore a topic of their interest in sustainable finance and accounting. So it's a research project which includes a dissertation of 8,500 words. They'll have a supervisor, an expert in that area. And this is also something which looks really good on the CV, because there are a range of research think tanks that are also hiring people, because all these developments in the area of sustainable finance and accounting means that constantly there is analysis of impact of the strategies adopted by companies. So that means a lot of research work is included. So there are lots of research institutes also that hire people with knowledge in this area. So we also provide modules that equip students with the knowledge and skills required to apply for those kind of jobs. So yeah, this is about the course structure and contents. I think maybe Panos, maybe one of our core modules in the second term is, of course, climate finance, which is an important aspect of sustainable finance. So Panos can talk more about it.
Yes, of course. So in my module, climate finance, we're going to talk mainly the connection between climate change and finance, as I mentioned earlier. So as I said, the only solution right now to mitigate climate change is finance, the only solution at hand. So like green bonds to fund green projects, carbon market, etc. However, there is also another connection, how the climate change affects finance. And indeed, this is what's happening. So for example, the productivity of firms is depleted simply because when we have extreme weather events, extreme heat waves, frost days, the productivity is not the same. The productivity is going down. So this has a negative effect to the firms. So it's not only that finance can do something for climate change, also climate change is doing something for finance. And this is a circle, and it's going on and on. This is some things that we're going to discuss in the climate finance module. Generally, we're going to talk about quite a few things about the carbon markets. The other thing that is quite interesting that everybody's talking is how can we measure if a firm is green or brown? And there are a lot of discussions, and policymakers are talking a lot about how can we identify a green firm. There are models for this, and policymakers as well as researchers, they have developed some modeling to identify the green firms. We will also talk about generally climate-related risks, risks that the transition risk, for example, it's one very important, or the risk. This is the risk actually from one firm that is related to fossil fuels, how this firm can become green. This is very challenging. And actually, this firm has a very high risk, huge risk, that they have to find the solutions for this. We're going to talk about how to fund the new energy economy related to the renewables. So probably, as you're aware, the main problem with climate change is the energy. Energy is coming from fossil fuels. So we need gradually to change all this fossil fuel technology and move to renewable technology. But in order to do this, we need money. So the question is how we're going to find so much money. So these are some of the questions that we're seeking to answer in this module, in climate finance. Last thing I would like to say is we tried to connect this module with the needs of the society right now, of course, and what the policymakers are talking about. So according to COP26, what is actually the main outcome of COP26 is that we need to work collectively. Because if one country, let's say everything right in order not to pollute, and another country does not care at all, then it's pointless, all these discussions and all these efforts to deal with climate change. So collective actions is something very, very important. And in this module, we will learn how to work collectively in these climate issues. So we have like courseworks that we work all together to find solutions in real terms, in practice, what's happening. So this is also something that is connected to the policymakers. Policymakers want to see people that they work collectively and find solutions for the climate change. Yes, so this is from me. Thank you.
Wow, that's I think we got a lot in that from the two of you. Really, really insightful details about the course. And I think everyone who is looking at the link that we've sent, you can go into the link and find out more on the course. But I think just hearing from my colleagues, I think that would obviously paint a really good picture. It's always good to hear people explain it in detail. And that was very helpful. So thank you again for that. I think I like what you were saying a lot about the collective action and how almost like there's a reciprocal nature in how finance influences climate change and how climate change influence. It's almost like it's going to be a cyclical thing going forward, and we might as well start having that conversation now. And that kind of leads us to a very nice conversation that we're having next, which is part of what we're having this conversation for. Is we have a course that we've designed at the University of Sussex, and we're one of the few universities who have that in sustainable finance and accounting, because we are almost like ahead of that curve, because we're also, very strong in sustainability. For those of you who know about us at Sussex, and when it comes to development studies, we're #1 in the world. So these issues are very much a core part of the university, especially at the Sussex Business School. So I think it came naturally to us to have a course like that. But still, you need to connect with industry, and you need to connect with jobs. And that's kind of like, in some ways, some people are still thinking, I guess, and students who are listening and professionals who are here may tell me otherwise, just contribute to the conversation, is what's the changing career landscape looking like? So why should I get into this field? Or what do you think what do you think is changing? Have you seen any evidence to that? What have you guys noticed as experts, as academics, that you've seen that indicates that it's not just something of the future, is actually happening right now? And I'll be very interested to hear that for myself, because I'll be honest with you, I was also an international student many, many years ago. Don't ask me how many years, Panos, I'm not going to reply you, it's too long. And but I came here, and it's all about return on investments for many students, thinking, okay, it's all about the future jobs. Everybody thinks about that. So I think it would be a very interesting one if you had some thoughts you could share on what you've noticed, trends you've noticed around the changing career landscape. And this is a conversation. I'll be interested to hear from the three of you. And also, if you got comments, guys, just feel free to put it in the chat box.
Yeah, I mean, should I start on that one, since didn't have much to say on the last one? But so actually, it was very interesting to hear Panos's module. I'm quite tempted to sit in on your module at some point, Panos. It's nice how all these links you draw between climate change and finance in different ways. So, and I think that's reflected in the roles. So basically, I can build on on what you said in terms of the variety of different roles out there, because you've got, and thanks Sharda for the nice slide to accompany my answer. You've got a nice variety there. So ESG analyst, so that's in finance, you've got equity research and debt research and all sorts of analyst roles, helping people to make investment decisions. Actually, my wife works in a hedge fund building ESG funds as well, so I get to hear a lot about this from her. And there's a lot of careers starting in this area as well. A lot of banks hiring funds, all sorts of obviously accounting firms as well. So there's that side of things. There's the research and analysis side, which is a bit related to what I do, except mine is a bit more niche, focused on modeling shipping markets. Then you've got the whole reporting side of things. There's a lot of more requirements for companies to report their emissions, and in shipping specifically, actually, we are trying to focus quite a lot on helping firms to understand their emissions from all their ships, because they face a lot more reporting requirements than they used to, and a lot of changing regulations on limiting emissions. So there's that. There's climate risk management roles. I also come from a risk management background, so understanding the risk involved for companies, both in the market, so price risks and so emissions prices is one example, but also just reputational risk related to climate change, other environmental impact risk, and social governance risk as well. And then there's the whole policy side, so either government policy or a firm setting their own specific policies on ESG, their sort of corporate social responsibility strategy, as we hinted at beforehand. So I think there's a huge variety of roles, because this touches on so many different things at the same time in different ways.
Excellent, thank you. I know Sarada was going to mention some, but I know we also had somebody who put a comment. He said, what evidence do you have changing career prospects? So that's from Ifyong, I believe. So Sarada is going to answer some of that in more detail for you as well. And I know Panos also is going to share some evidence to that effect. But Itoro Ifyong, so thanks for that question. But something else that I wanted to reference that might be useful for you to get a sense of just how much this is getting traction is that you may have seen the PwC Sustainable Finance Toolkit. So PwC actually have one that they've shared publicly, and you could type it, just Google it and look at it. But essentially, I'll put a link in the chat box. It says PwC provides a Sustainable Finance Toolkit, a set of proprietary industry-leading environmental and social risk management tools to support banks globally. Now, they then go into detail about what it does. But if an organization like PwC has also developed that already, then I think that also gives you a good sense of what exactly the priorities are internationally from the financial sector for this kind of program or this kind of changes to the profession. But Sarada, over to you.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Michael. I mean, I can't add a lot more to what Michael has said, because he's provided a really comprehensive explanation of the different streams of careers that exist in the area of sustainable finance, and the different roles that people can apply for. So in addition to that, I can say that this is what I was sharing a screen here. This is what we found, what you can find if you look for sustainability, sustainable finance and sustainability reporting jobs. You can see here on the right-hand side of the slide, 565 on LinkedIn and 446 in sustainable finance jobs. So this is the level to which the extent of which the job roles have expanded, job market has expanded in this area. What I would like to say to students who are considering this degree is that if you already have knowledge if you already have a degree in the area of accounting and finance, undergraduate degree in the area of accounting and finance, or a related degree, then I would say that for a postgraduate degree, I think that this is the best degree to go for, because a normal traditional MSc accounting and finance is is not going to give you the knowledge and skills, although a lot of degrees say that they do incorporate sustainability focus, but that is not enough to equip you for these roles, because many of these roles, graduate programs, for example, have started to, like the PwC toolkit that Tosin was mentioning earlier, have started to clearly to ask for postgraduate degrees in sustainable finance area. So for example, I can share another page of Deloitte has a sustainable finance graduate program, which clearly shows their requirements. You can see this is the page here, Deloitte Risk Advisory Sustainable Finance Graduate. And if we look at the job description here, you can see the requirements and qualifications. They do talk about a master's degree or achieve towards, or to be working towards a master's degree and have graduated by September 2022. So these kind of roles are on the rise currently, which ask for, so you can see the different areas listed here under the subjects. So there are lots and lots of job roles in this area which require specialized knowledge in the area of sustainable finance and accounting. So the advantage is that in addition to the conventional job roles that accounting and finance graduate can access, you now can access a whole range of other jobs in the area of sustainable finance and accounting. And research has found, recently we had a Boston-based think tank found that there are not enough universities. Industries believe that there are not enough universities offering degrees in the area of sustainable finance and accounting, and they are struggling with having to train candidates, train new employees or in the area of sustainable and finance and accounting. So they would like to hire people who have a degree in this area. So this is also something which has been found in research. And I think Panos can add a bit more about what he found by looking at the job market.
Yes, thank you, Sharada. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience, and then I will actually echo what Michael and Sharada said about this profession. So probably I mentioned earlier that when I finished when I completed my degree in economics and then my master's in finance, I was one of the thousands of people seeking for a job, and I didn't really had any competitive advantage against the others. So then I came up with the climate finance. Actually, was for my PhD, but again, that was something different. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to be proactive and we need to think ahead. So right now there are thousands of people in finance, in accounting. We need them. Yes, that's fair enough. But now we need to look for the future. So this is one thing, and I firmly believe the future is in sustainable finance, especially green finance. Now the other thing that I would like to say is that at the University of Sussex, we built a culture about these climate change issues, and as a university, we are very sensitive. And for this reason, we have had in the past quite a few conferences. That in these conferences, we had top stakeholders participating, such as Bank of England, European Central Bank, European Authority, KPMG, FTSE Russell, the people that they have these indices for the stock market. So all these people are the people that are like top names, huge names in this field, and all of them, they agreed on the same thing, that we need more people. We need people to work in climate change, in climate finance. And these jobs that Sharada presented to you is the present. However, I can promise you that the future will be much more, we're gonna have much more jobs in the future. So these 300-400 jobs that you've seen there, in the future, there are gonna be many more. And the reason why it's gonna be many more is because there are not many graduates, as you already know, there are not many degrees in sustainable finance or climate finance. So probably, most likely, how many graduates do we have in the UK every year? 100? Probably 100. I encourage you, for the people that are talking right now, open LinkedIn and type, for example, in the job section, climate finance jobs or sustainable finance. you will find more than 300, 400 jobs. So that makes you definitely unique. It's not, there is no competition for you. Actually, there is competition for these firms in order to hire you. So you're going, from my point of view, and I never regretted what I've done with the climate change and finance. I believe you're going to be in a very strong position with very strong degree and many, many opportunities. And this is what we need today in this competitive world. We need to have opportunities. And finally, I'd like to say that apart from all these jobs in the industry, of course, there is the academia. We need people, and actually we're looking for PhD students that they want to do a PhD in climate change and finance. And in order to do this, you need to have a master's related to climate change and finance or sustainable finance, and then you can pursue a career in academia in this field. And believe me, everybody would ask you to go give a talk, to write papers, to contribute to the research, to go to conferences. There are many things going on. It's quite exciting for now, and I believe it's going to be for the near future, and there are many things to see in the future. The only thing I have to say is that this field has just started, and we have many things to see in the future.
Wow, thank you so much, guys. Really, really helpful. I'm just trying to capture everything in as maybe one sentence as best as I can. It is growing. It's a growing industry. I think that's what's coming across, but it's not actually, it's not like, oh, it's something of the future as well. It is actually already happening. And what you're saying essentially is it's a good opportunity if you're thinking to, if you already have an undergraduate degree in accounting and finance, that and you're interested in sustainability, or you want to position yourself to be ahead of the curve, that this is a good, if you were to give somebody advice, this is a good option to consider as for your masters to specialize in this area, because the prospects are good. Remember, for most of these students who are here, or early career professionals, they're thinking about the prospects. And I talk to students all the time. So they're usually like, Mr. Tosin, so just tell me, are there jobs? So so I think, I think that's kind of what I'm hearing is it's a good option to consider, but nobody can tell you what you need to do. You need to go and do your own research and ultimately look at the information as best as we've given it to you, and then make up your deal. Would that summarize what you've said, Sarada, Panos, Michael?
Yeah, actually, Tosin, I just wanted to add a couple of points more. So based on what Panos said about competition, that's one important point, that traditional accounting and finance field are quite competitive, because your students would be competing with others who have completed ACCA, for example, or have, so this field is relatively not very competitive at the moment. So this is the right time to do a degree in that area and get into this field. That's one point. Secondly, when you were talking about prospects, the thing is, the UK government currently offers, for international students, of course, offers a 2-year post-study work visa, which so that would give enough time for students to complete the degree and do a graduate program, for example, or to get internships for work experience. So they have time for work experience. And yes, so these were just 2 points I missed out previously. So I just wanted to add those points before you wrap up. So
no problem. Thank you, Sarada. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a few minutes. So we've got Usman, who has got his hands up for a very long time. And I know your hands must be aching by now, Usman. So thank you so much. And we're going to ask you to keep it really short and brief. Oh, God, somebody else is going to put their hands up. Okay, we're not going to get everybody to speak, but we're going to definitely take Usman. So Usman, keep it short, straight to the point, please, because we want to get as many people involved and finish as on time. So over to you.
Hello, good morning, everybody.
Hello, Usman.
Yeah, I just want to ask a little question and contribution regarding this career in sustainable finance and accounting.
Go on.
Okay, I am very interested in joining the financial and accounting career. So how possible is it for me, okay, as a person that has a higher national diploma in accounting, So I want to have my second degree on this particular course. So how can I get a scholarship in the UK so that I can go and undertake the course? And at least the way she mentioned earlier, that you can have enough time to be an intern so that you can learn a lot of things before you enroll into the job. So I'm very interested. So I would like to know more on how I can be enrolled or how I can get the scholarship. Thank you very much.
No problem. So thanks for that. I mean, I can answer that, but it's more, you should see my screen now. Can you see my screen? I'm sharing my screen, Sarada. Yeah.
Yes, I can see it.
But, so thanks for your question. I will give you my name is there, but I'll put my email in the chat box. You can touch with me directly. But in terms of our entry requirements, you should normally have a bachelor's to get onto the program. So which a higher national diploma, you would need to ideally do maybe a pre-master's first. And we also have that at the university, but offered at our International Study Center. So when you finish that, then you can come in and do the master. So that's usually how it works, but I'm happy to take more questions about that. We have scholarships. So thanks to my colleague Mauricio, who is also online, who has helped put this together. These are some of the scholarships that we have for students who are coming, who study directly in the business school. We have an automatic award that we give, which is £3,000. So you will get the £3,000 scholarship. Any student, regardless of where you are coming from, so long as you're in the, doing in the business school, master's degree, you will get that. But if you're also from Nigeria or Egypt, India, Nigeria, Pakistan, Turkey, Vietnam, we have what we call our country scholarships. So students from those countries can actually combine their £3,000 country scholarships with the graduate scholarship. So you can actually get £6,000 scholarship if you're from one of those countries. If you're not from one of those countries, then you could get 3,000, or you can apply for the Chancellor's International and get 5,000. So essentially, you could get between 3,000 to 6,000 pound scholarship, subject to where you're from. So I thought I'd answer that question with regards to scholarships. Okay, so thank you for that again, Usman. Let's take another question. We've got questions in the Q&A, so let's go through those. So I'll try and do it with my colleagues here to see how many we can go through. Usman, we've answered yours, so I will do answered live. And then we got BP, no, don't know. Please, how many hours to get this meeting? Mane, I'm not sure what you mean, but I mean, how many hours is it for we're going to be finishing in the next 7 minutes or so, so that's fine. I want to ask, is it possible to switch into this career from an unrelated first degree? Excellent question. Like education, Sarada. So if I had a bachelor's degree in education or an unrelated degree, can I switch into this?
I think if it depends on the course structure of the degree, if they've had some knowledge of business studies, management modules, basic knowledge of accounting should be fine. So what we have mentioned in the eligibility criteria is related degrees related to accounting and finance. So that could be degrees that come within the business school. But of course, there are some courses which have a lot of modules in the area of business management, but don't have the title necessarily. So that it would depend on the course contents of the undergraduate degree.
Got it. So John, basically, if you study, so there are people who do MEds or degrees in education that also really specialize in specific areas. So if your education degree has been with quite a substantial amount of finance and accounting that you've done in that area, if that was the kind of education you did, then definitely you could put an application and then to be considered. But ideally, I think there should be a grounding in accounting and finance at your undergraduate level. I think that's what the preference is, isn't it, Sarah? Is that correct?
Yeah, but yes, accounting and finance and related business.
Yeah, or related subjects. That would be subjects. Yeah. Excellent. So, John, thanks for your question. We've got Joseph, HND in accounting. Yep, same thing. You know, Joseph is an interesting one. If you've got a lot of work experience in like really, in relevant areas as well, Of course, we would never discourage students from applying because we want to meet outstanding students. And if you had an upper class, upper credit, or which is like a distinction in your HND, could definitely consider putting your application in if you have really strong work experience. But normally with an HND is a pre-masters, but I can talk to you about that separately. Okay, Joseph answered your question. Then we've got anonymous attendee. I love anonymous attendee. How are you doing? I'm just joining the webinar. I'm a pharmacist in the public health sector. Can I apply for this program without having a basis in accounting? I think we've covered that already for anonymous. So that's fine. We have Hassan Olatunji. Hassan Olatunji says, I'm interested in sustainability, accounting, and finance. I have HND, accounting distinction, so what we just talked about, and BSc accounting first class with a GP of 4.7 out of 5. Wow, first of all, congratulations. You're brilliant, very intelligent young man. What scholarship are available for me to ease my program funding? Hassan, we showed you the scholarships we've offered, so I hope you were there. You sent your message at 10:50, so you would have seen that. So, but again, if you go to the business school, our website, you'll see all of those information all over again. But essentially, you can get £6,000 guaranteed as a Nigerian student, because I can see your name. So we are from the same tribe. So I know you're Yoruba. So that's a £6,000 scholarship you can get from that. Okay. So, and you cannot combine the chancellors and the Nigerian scholarship. That's the next question. Doesn't work that way. You can't combine the 5 and the 3,000. Okay. Can you accept third class holder with work experience in management related area? Bimbo, this is a really sad one. Unfortunately, it's not something we would be able to accept directly. But again, the option for the pre-masters is definitely there. But you would definitely need to have a second class honors degree of some sort. So, but again, you can chat with me offline, and I'll be able to assist or point you in the right direction for that one. Okay, and we've got Frank Opong. Frank Opong is from Ghana. It says, about the country-specific scholarship, did not see my country name Ghana. I knew this was going to happen. And thank you, Frank, for pointing out. But what you do get is, we're looking at that as we speak. We're constantly reviewing this, and we're adding more countries to it. And now I cannot say when a decision will be made to confirm that right now. But in the interim, that's one of the reasons why we have the Business School Awards, which I mentioned earlier. So if you're joining this course, you will get the automatic £3,000 Business School Award. You don't need to apply for that. It's automatic guaranteed, discounting your fees. Okay, Frank? So you will definitely get that. But yeah, we will definitely be keeping you up to date with more country scholarships. Okay, and I think we've cleared that. Right, I hope nobody's got their hands up. There's more questions coming in. When is the academy session in your university start? Oh yeah, so it starts September. We don't have a January start for this course. So if you're interested in this program or you found the conversations helpful and insightful and it's inspired you to consider this area, then go to our website, talk to her. If you've joined this webinar as a result of MOD, who have been our partners in promoting this webinar as well. We have many other representatives, obviously, but MOD have really helped us promote this. So if you came through them, then obviously just talk to them and they will help you with your application, okay? So and in terms of applying, that is. So Abubakar Suleiman, that's the answer to your question. Usman Mubarak, I'm interested in sustainable financial accounting. Glad to hear, that's fantastic. So again, you can, if you got this message through MOD, you can contact them. If not, then you can always apply, go to our website and contact, apply directly on the university's website, okay? I'm interested, but I'm from an unrelated course, agriculture. Joy Ibikunle, thank you for that. I think we've covered that already. If you've done substantial elements in related subjects and modules, then you could definitely put in an application for sure. But ideally, we would write people who have related, because I know as you've done agriculture, you would have done things like economics and programs like courses like that. So look at your modules, see what you've covered, and you will be able to make a decision on it. Check out the website for more information as well. Okay, so we're almost done. We're actually just at 11, which is when we are finishing. Is there any other question? Will a BSc second class lower be accepted for the program with 6 years work experience? So the simple answer, yes, go for it. And I'll be looking at, say, your application. I have a diploma in computer science. Can I convert to financial accounting? I'll pass this on to Savada.
Computer science?
Yeah, the same thing as education? Same
yeah,
thing?
same thing. Yeah, it depends on what you've covered in your degree. And yeah, so if there are some related modules, then you can apply. Yeah.
Okay. So what are the ways to sustainable finance accounting? Sulaiman, I think you might have joined us late, but we're going to have the recording, so that's good. And we're going to have that shared. So please take time to watch it. I hope you find it useful. Yes, so can the £3,000 International Masters Award be combined along with the £6,000? I knew somebody was going to ask that, like I said. So you cannot combine it. It's over. If you can get the £3,000 Business School Awards. If you're from Nigeria or any of the other countries with a country scholarship, like this one that I shared with you, then you can get £6,000 scholarship. Or you could apply for, and those are all automatic, but you can then apply for a competitive one, which is the Business School Chancellor Scholarship. That is £5,000. Now that is merit-based. So that is £5,000. Or you can get the £6,000, but you cannot now combine the 6 and the 5. I know where you're going, so it's not going to happen. I can come, and I think we've covered most of it, guys. We got somebody else. We've got to keep the time out of respect to all of you and to our speakers as well. And we won't be able to take any more questions, I'm afraid, because we just want to keep this to time. But I just wanted to appreciate our speakers. Thank you guys for a really great chat, informative. Personally, I found it informative. I hope our guests have found it, our participants have found it very helpful as well. But, guys, so let's appreciate our speakers, putting some emojis in there, show them if you found it helpful and you enjoyed the conversations. If you're interested in the course, then put in, appreciate them with something in the chat box. And on that note, I want to wish you all a great week. Thank you all for joining, for everybody, wherever you are. And I'm going to give it to Savada to finish off and say the closing words.
Thank you everyone for your good questions, for attending our session. And I would just like to say that if you have any questions, you can email me. I think Tosin has put in my email in the, have you, Tosin? Have you?
No, I haven't. Can you just type it in there?
Let me see. No, I think it's not there. Maybe I can just.
So here are our names.
Yeah.
You can always, if you don't have, you can find Savada on our website as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, you can find me on the university website. And if you have any further questions, you can directly email me for a chat, for a Zoom chat. If you have questions about the application, about the course content, your suitability to eligibility to apply, etc., you can directly email me. So that's just one other point I wanted to say. But thank you everyone for attending, and I hope to hear from many of you, and I hope many of you will apply for the course. And thank you, Michael and Panos, for giving us valuable information and perspectives into the into climate finance, into the job opportunities. Yeah, that's all. Thank you, everyone.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day. We'll send the videos around, and we should be able to watch that for those of you who arrived late. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, Tosin.
Take care. All right. Bye.